Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Kimble. Welcome to another edition of your Daily Five. Today's May the 18th. Some topics we want to talk about today. Crude oil's declined 38% in the past 12 months. I want to share with you what the chart looks like. I want to discuss the short exposure in crude oil. Regional banks, as we all know, have been hit hard. They're down 37% in the last year. Is there any plays there? I want to discuss how we look at seasonal strong stocks. I want to go back to one in November that we discussed on a daily five, and then give a current updates on strong stocks in June. So I want to kind of get started. Here's a look at crude oil. And from StockCharts at the bottom is one of my favorite tools is the rate of change. So we looked at the 1 year rate of change on crude oil. So it's down about 38%. And you can see that there's a few times over the last, this chart's going back over around 30 years, that the times that it had been down around the 40% range in 12 months ended up being some decent buying opportunities. So we want to discuss, is there any potential, for that case? So here's how I'm kind of looking at crude oil currently. We can see that there's a resistance line, around the 63, 64 level. We can see that since the collapse when it went inverted, if everybody remembers a couple of years ago, crude oil went negative. Since then, it's in this sharp rising channel. So right now we're testing a line that's been support and resistance, for 8 years. It's at the bottom of this rising channel. So this could be a really interesting inflection point, and kind of hidden behind this line is a fairly sizable potential reversal wick. Again, this is a monthly chart, and of course we're just at the middle of the month, so there's a lot of month left. But I just want to point out that it's stuck between horizontal support, rising support, and falling resistance. If crude would happen to obviously break support, that's the trend over the last year. That's obviously a continuation pattern, but it would be very big because it would be breaking below a double shelf. But if it happened to break out on the flip side after a 40% decline, that could be a lot of fun. So I wanted to share with you what traders are looking at right now. And so the top chart's crude oil, and the bottom chart looks at the net position of long contracts for crude oil. And at each of these, one is when the number of long contracts essentially reached zero. In other words, there wasn't much optimism towards the crude market. And you can see when there was a lack of optimism, it ended up being trading opportunities to long-term buying opportunities. You can see here in 2018, this became an opportunity. This chart kind of gets squashed by these big moves, but we were almost, crude was from 40 to 60. That's a 50% move. Even on the close, $20 to 120, we know that's some pretty big math. And here was another reasonable bottom. So the reason I bring this up, the prior chart shows a test of support, but right now this is the largest net short position in crude oil in the last 5 years, here at 2 in the lower right. So my take here would be is if crude would happen to find support and break to the upside, it could be a very interesting rally, because there's a potential for short covering to a degree that we've only seen rarely in the last 5 years. So we're going to really keep our eye on opportunities in crude oil here. Another thing that's been hit hard and has been in the news, as we all know, is regional banks. And again, we look at the same tool at the bottom. We look at rate of change on a monthly basis, and we can see that KRE, the regional bank ETF, is down almost 37% in the last month. And since its creation, it came to market in 2007. So we have about a 15-year-old ETF. But of the two times that had fallen similar amounts in a 12-month time period, it ended up being some decent bottoms. So some things that we want to look at after this far of a loss is this was a resistance line around the 38 price level. We're testing that currently. I like to find bottoms of channels by first searching for tops. So here's the uniform top over of the rising channel over the last 14 years. So KRE is testing 14-year rising support. So far, again, the month is not over. But if the month would end right here, folks, that would be almost one of the largest bullish reversal patterns, or it would be potentially since the 2009 bottom. So we want to keep this in mind. Obviously, a rally here would be a relief rally to probably the overall market. And if regional banks would break a 14-year rising channel, I think we all know the message, there. So one of the things that we share with our members, and we shared last November on a Daily 5 edition, is we do a search that we look for the strongest S&P 500 stocks in each given month, and one of our requirements is that they have to be up 7 out of the past 10 whatever months that we're looking at. So here's an example of stocks that between 2012 and 2021 we're up 7 out of 10 years, and then we sort them on median returns. And so the one thing that we were sharing with our membership then, and we did on also the Daily 5, was AMD on average in November had gained 13%. So we don't invest, or I wouldn't suggest investing based upon these mathematical statistics alone, but if we can marry chart patterns and some of these stats, some good things can happen. So at the time that we were sharing that AMD usually makes 13% in the month of November, here's what it was looking like at the time. It lost 65%, pretty good decline. The 65% decline happened to be the 61% fib retracement level of the move all the way from $170 to $170. So this intrigued us to see it hit that large of a decline, 65%, testing a fib level, and seasonality was in play. So this seemed a good time to enter it. We have, as I looked this morning, it's up 72% since that time. But the reason I want to bring it up again is AMD is on our list. And so these are the strong stocks for in June. AMD has an average gain of 7% in the month of June over the last 10 years. So let's just take a quick glance at the chart. Here is past November where we ended up picking it up, and it's continued to make higher lows. It just continues to show relative strength over the S&P. You can see that the level around 100 was resistance a couple of times, and it's working on a breakout now. So the combination of strength in AMD, a breakout here with seasonal strength in the month of June, is a real positive for this holding. So as we go to wrap things up today, I just really want to remind and keep in mind that crude oil has rarely declined this much over the last 12 months. In the times that it's done it, it's become opportunities. As we looked at the crude oil short exposure, it was the largest short exposure of any time over the last 7 or 8 years. And the last 3 times it was here, crude oil rallied a minimum of 35%. So I want to keep that in mind as that support is there. Along the same line, regional banks, as we all know, are down really hard, and they're testing a support level. And at mid-month, there's a large bullish reversal, taking place. And so, as we look at seasonal stocks, the one thing I want to remind everyone of is there's really a lot of opportunities in repeating seasonal strength, and when you can combine those with the great software that StockCharts has. That you can really create some really good opportunities, in these. So, again, as we wrap things up, I thank you for your time today. We do offer a discount to StockChart members, so you can give us a trial if you would like to by going to kimblechartingsolutions.com/StockCharts. So as we embark on the summer, we'll talk again, but I want to wish all of you a happy upcoming Memorial Day. As we think of all of our loved ones, and I hope you have a great summer. Thanks again, everybody. Goodbye.